Today, we will be exploring the essence of reality. So, welcome. So yeah, basically we started Hanukkah, and let's get right to the point. So we started Hanukkah today, and also today is the day of when we're starting. We started the Tanya, the book of Tanya. There's a yearly cycle to finish it. Every day we do a little bit, and we just restarted it, and we're towards the beginning. So let's get right to it. It's intense, very intense and exciting, multifaceted stuff. So you can follow along at Awtsmoos.com, and then find Tanya chapter 2, and then eventually you could go to the I here, and then click on comments or commentators, because pretty much the same thing. Then let's go to Awtsmoos translations, and now we can click read in line. That way we can see the translation of the Hebrew as we read. And in addition to that, let's go to Awtsmoos commentary, and maybe add that in line as well to occasionally read some intense stuff. And then also add some Awtsmoos images and click read in line. Now, let's dive right into the deep end of reality and beyond reality. So it says that earlier we talked about everyone has two souls. One soul is like a natural soul that's drawn towards worldly things. It has like 4 elements, which has 4 like negative character traits, 4 categories of negative character traits. Like fire is like being haughty, and I think fire was like being angry, and I think haughty as well. And then earth is like being lazy, stuff like that. And then that was what we talked about last time. But this time, this is talking about the second soul that Jews have, which it says the second soul of Yisroel is truly a part of Hashem above. Hebrew word is, it's a piece of the Creator, so to speak, from above, literally. Translates as truly here, literally, truly. I mean, the altar be added the word literally, as opposed to just saying like metaphorically, like it's literally a portion of the Creator. So this is a bit of a controversial concept, because the soul usually people think of as a creation, but then to say that the Creator is like found in the soul of a person, it's kind of a big deal to say that. What does that even mean? But really it's talking about how like the Creator is infinite beyond everything, but the Creator can also be expressed in the form of creation, and the Creator being expressed in the form of a creation because of infinity is the soul of every Jew. So that's essentially what this idea is about. It's a verse from Job ultimately, but it's based on the Kabbalah. I mean, it's just on the initial understanding of Kabbalah before the Tanya. Maybe we could think, oh, it's not literally a piece of the Creator above, just like metaphorically, like a little. But no, when the altar says literally, means like it's the way that the Creator came into this, to the literal grasp of sense. So what's the source for this? How do we know that the soul of every Jew is a piece of the Creator? Because it says, and he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And you can see some intense energy and stuff, which may or may not represent breathing. And it says, you have breathed it into me. So the breath of the Awtsmoos, basically, this is talking about when the Creator made Adam, the first man. First he gathered his body, made out of dust from all the corners of the earth, which was just basic dust, not really a big deal. But then, after he gathered the raw dust together, it says that he breathed into his nostrils, and that breath is what gave human soul life. And originally, Adam was supposed to be just a father for all the Jews, but then the other stuff happened, and then the non-Jews ended up happening. So the point is that that's the source in the Torah for the idea that the soul of the Jews is like literally the breath of the Awtsmoos directly. All people also have like the image of the Creator, so to speak, which is the metaphorical image. The Creator doesn't have an image in the sense of physical image or anything like that, but there's like a metaphysical image that the Creator chooses to make for himself, and that's like the source of the universe, is how the universes are created, and that's essentially what other people are made from, which is still a big deal. But then the Jews, not only are they in the image of the Creator, but they have a literal piece of the Awtsmoos inside of them, which is the soul. Like it's written in the Zohar, it says, he who breathes from within him. Meaning when it says the Creator breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, that implies a deep, not just like a superficial breath that, for example, if one is just talking to someone, then that's just like a superficial breath. It's also breath but it's not like breathing with force. But when the Creator breathed the nostrils into the Adam, it says he was breathing from his inner and essence. That's like the idea of someone like exhaling with his extreme force as opposed to just talking vaguely. Other places it says, with the word of the Creator, the heavens were made, and with the breath of his mouth, all of their hosts. And other commentaries say that refers to how the angels are created through the Creator, so to speak, just talking casually. I'm not sure what this stuff is talking about. And I may have to delete those pictures. But they're saying just through the Creator talking casually, so to speak. That's what creates the angels, as opposed to the Jews, where it says the soul is created from the Creator breathing with intense force, which that's the main difference. That the main inner vitality that a person emits is through his breath with force. It is from his inner vitality that a man emits through his breath with force. I guess that makes sense. The point is, when someone like breathes with force, then they're breathing their inner essence out, basically. Um, so I actually haven't reviewed all these images, so they may or may not represent what we're talking about. There's like AI generated based on it. I'm not sure these pillars have to do with anything. Maybe. All right. And so what does it mean to breathe with force? For example, um, no. So too, no. Just like someone can breathe with force, and through breathing with force, they emit their inner essence. So too, the souls of Israel, the souls of Yisrael, they ascended in thought, meaning like they were the first things that the Creator thought about before He made the world, and like they're like the purpose of all creation. So when the Creator breathed, breathed into Adam's nostrils, He was breathing Himself, which is like the entire purpose of creation, basically. So as like the source of the souls of the Jews. Like it's written, my firstborn son, who is Yisroel. So the Jewish people, known as Israel, are considered like the firstborn son of the Creator. And as it's going to explain, the idea of a son of someone is like, or a child in general, is like someone who has like the inner essence of the Father, essentially. So all the Jews are like, you are sons, you are children to the Creator. So like it's like the Son is like the same essence of the Father. So all the Jews are like literal sons and literal children of the Creator, so to speak. And it's like since they're children of the Creator, they have the same essence of the Creator, just like the Son has the same essence as the Father. Meaning, as a son is drawn from the brain of the Father. Now we're getting into this. Not only is the Son in the essence of the Father, but it's getting into very graphic, specific details of that. So too, so to speak, the souls of all of Israel are drawn from his thought and wisdom. So in general, they say that a son really comes from the father's brain, ultimately. So too, for different reasons, as it's explained in the Talmud and Kabbalah. But it's like just like the son comes from the father's brain, so too the souls of Israel come from the brain of the Creator, so to speak, which is the Creator doesn't have a physical brain, but there's an idea of the thought, the divine wisdom and the divine thought. That's what the souls of the Jews come from, essentially. Its commentary is very interesting, but I'm not sure if I haven't really read it, so whatever. And this may or may not sure what the prompt for this image is, but whatever. And so what does it mean when the Jews come from the Creator's thought? It's not just regular thought, because He is wise, and not with the wisdom that is known to us. But He and His wisdom are one. So when we say the Creator is wise and the Creator has thoughts, it's not just like a superficial thought, but it's like the thought of the Creator, the thoughts of the Creator are literally united with His essence. So because the Jews are children of the Creator, and a child comes from the brain of the Father, so too, like the Jews come from the brain, from the mind of the Creator, and the mind of the Creator is united with the essence of the Creator. Like it's written in the Maimonides that He is the knowledge and He is the knower. When it comes to other people knowing things, usually there's three things going on. There's first of all the person who's knowing something. Then there's the power of thought they have in their mind to know something. And the third thing is the actual thing that they're knowing. But the Rambam talks about philosophically when the Creator, when we say the Creator thinks about something, it's not like the Creator is one thing and then the thought of the Creator is something else, and then the thing the Creator is thinking about is something else. Because if that were true, then there would be multiple gods, which is total heretical heresy. So the point is that when the Creator thinks, so to speak, and when the Creator is wise, His wisdom is just an expression of Himself. So too, when we say the Jews, the souls of the Jews come from the Creator's mind, it means they come from the Creator's mind, which is united with the Creator Himself. And this is not within the power of man. to comprehend the fact that the Creator's mind is one, and he is both the person that's knowing, or he's not a person, but he's both the one that's knowing and the power of knowledge and the thing that's being known. How can we even understand that? It's beyond human understanding completely how the Creator's mind is united with Himself. Like it's written, can we comprehend Hashem through searching? And it is written, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts." Like through meaning, if someone were to search intellectually to try to comprehend the Creator, they would not be able to do so because the Creator is like beyond comprehension. And it says the Creator's thoughts are not like our thoughts. So when we say the Creator thinks, it's not like a person thinking. When a person thinks, their thoughts are something that's different than themselves. But when the Creator thinks, His thoughts are not like our thoughts. So His thoughts are like literally one with His essence. And so this is what the Rambam says, Maimonides, medieval century rabbi, who was a bit controversial at the time. And not everyone agreed with him when he said this idea that the Creator's mind is one with Himself. Because just even to say that there's a division of the person thinking and the thought, and the thing thinking and the power of thought, even that division itself seems to be a bit of a multiple gods kind of thing. Because really, there's one Creator which is beyond like thoughts and power of thoughts entirely. But really, the Kabbalists and the Kabbalists generally associate a more not only metaphysical description of the Creator, but also meta-spiritual, meaning that the Creator is not limited by any spiritual characteristics, just like He's not limited by any physical ones. So when they talk about the Creator thinking about something, even a thought that's united with Himself, that's a bit of a difficult thing. But the Kabbalists still agreed with him in some aspects, as we're going to say, as it says. Here's some book of Kabbalah in AI, which looks kind of cool. Um, and he didn't elaborate exactly. Okay, no, first, apparently, he said that some Kabbalists agreed with him across the board, entirely, with the idea that the knowledge of the Creator is one, with the Creator is the knowledge, the power, the is the for the Creator is the one who is knowing, and the power of knowledge and the thing that's being known. Some Kabbalists just say, "Yep, no problem." But the Arizal's Kabbalah, Rabbi Yitzchak Gloria, was a bit more nuanced when he said that his philosophy is mainly the idea that the Creator is like beyond the power of thought, like entirely. So how could we even say that there's like different divisions of like the knower and the knowledge, etc. So in the Creator, in essence, is really beyond the concept of knowledge entirely, even the power of knowledge. But it says this idea of the Creator, of what the Rambam says, of what the Creator being the knowledge, being the one that knows, and being the thing that's known. This applies only to the mystical principle of the Ein Sof's light, the infinite light that clothes itself through numerous contractions in the vessels of Chokhmah, wisdom, Bina, understanding, and Das, and knowledge of Atzilus. Okay, so this is pretty intense. So this is basically saying that the Creator, in essence, is beyond any concept of understanding and power of understanding, etc. But when the Creator chose to make the world, He contracted His infinite light. First of all, the Creator is beyond even light itself. But when the Creator made the world, He also made this infinite light. And even that infinite light, which is still a creation, is still beyond the concept of knowledge entirely. But in order to make the world, then the Creator took that infinite light and He contracted it and hid it and condensed infinity into finite. And then He created a bunch of things called vessels. And those vessels essentially are the source of the idea of understanding and knowledge and wisdom. And those things are essentially what it means to be the knower and the knowledge and the one that's known is having wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. So basically, the point is, after the Creator limited that infinite light, then finally He was able to create the power of knowledge. And once He created the power of knowledge in both wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, then He unites Himself with that power of knowledge, and that's what the Rambam is talking about, according to the Arizal. But when it comes to things that are beyond the world of Atzilus, which is like the meta-spiritual blueprint for the world, which is the original source of the idea of the Creator's knowledge, so to speak, when it comes to things that are beyond that, like the infinite light, then there's no concept of knowledge, etc. Okay, like it says in another place, that the blessed Ein Sof, the infinite, is infinitely exalted, transcending the essence and level of Chabad. Chabad is an acronym for Chachma Bina Das, which means wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, which refers to the one who knows, the power of knowledge, and the thing that you know, essentially, which is talking about how the Creator is united with all three of those things. So it's saying the idea of Chabad, the idea of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge is only after the Creator contracts the infinite light to make world room for the worlds. But the Creator, in essence, is beyond Chabad entirely. And not sure what these pictures have to do with anything, but we'll see. So much so that the Creator is beyond Chabad, that the essence and level of Chabad are considered as physical action compared to Him. That means essentially when we talk about the Creator being wise, the Creator having intellect, we say like, oh, you made them all with wisdom, like the Creator is such a smart guy. Just the concept of the Creator being able to be smart, that is not an essential thing. That's only a creation. The Creator created His own power of being smart, and that power of being smart of the Creator is just the same to Him as the physical world, because it's just a creation. As it's written, you made them all with wisdom. It's like you made everything with wisdom, implying that wisdom is just like a tool that you could use to make stuff, just like you, basically. And I'm not sure what this has to do with anything, but we'll see. And okay, so we said really all souls come from the mind of the Creator, which is united with the Creator's essence. The wisdom of the Creator is not with the Creator's essence. But now we're saying, oh wait a minute, but different people have different kinds of souls because they have different levels. So if all the souls come from the same source, how could there be different levels of souls? Now we're like getting into that thing. So even though there are myriad types of distinctions and levels in the souls, above, above, the higher without end. Not sure what that's even trying to say. It's hard to translate, like higher above higher, but it's kind of a hard phrase to translate. Whatever, but it's all good. So the point is, there's lots of different souls. Some people have great souls. For example, like the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the Bible, they were pretty high souls, and Moses had a very intense, great soul that's greater than a lot of other souls. It's pretty much part of the solstice, and so they had really great levels, and yeah, and then other souls in later generations have slightly less levels, lower levels of understanding of the Creator, etc. Because the other souls that exist in later generations, it says like this generation, are considered like heels relative to the brain. Like the original generations of like Abraham and Moses, those souls were like the brain metaphorically. But now the souls that exist nowadays are just like the heel, the lowest part of the body, basically. So there's different levels of souls. So how can we say that all the souls are united with the Creator's wisdom, which is united with His essence? And okay, now it's going on to a little sidetrack. So not only were Moses and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob considered like extremely high souls that are like considered like a brain, as opposed to other souls that are considered like heels, but also in every single generation, there are heads of thousands of Israel, meaning there's some Jews that are in every generation that have certain souls that are like the head soul of that generation. This is also one of the sources for the idea of like a rebbe, someone who's like the head of the nation, like a king is the head of the nation, as opposed to like the soldiers, which are also necessary, are like the feet of the nation, which actually get things done. But like the rebbe is like the head, like his soul is like the all-encompassing head, while the other souls are like the soldiers, like the feet, which like actually carry out the mission kind of thing. So it's like every generation, it's from the Zohar, I'm pretty sure. In every single generation, there are heads of thousands of Israel, those who lead thousands of people, and those souls are like the head and the brain compared to the souls of the masses and the people of the earth. Meaning, like the souls of most people in the generations are just I'm not sure what these pictures are like just considered like feet, which is good too because feet actually get things done. But saying relatively speaking, there's some souls in every generation that are like a head compared to feet, and also not only souls. Okay, this translation is kind of brutal because there's different words for souls, and earlier we were talking about a different Hebrew word for soul, but now we're using a different Hebrew word for soul, but in English it's still translating it as souls. And likewise, souls compared to souls. Okay, that doesn't really make sense. But there's different words for soul in Hebrew. And earlier we were talking about uh, higher level, I think. Yeah, Shanish Mosehim. Yeah, we are talking about a higher level of souls, and now we're talking about even the lower level of souls. Meaning, every person has different levels of soul, has really three general different levels of the soul that's in their body that correspond to the brain, heart, and liver. So earlier we were talking about the soul of each person that corresponds to their brain. Like even the brain of the masses is just considered like a foot compared to like the brain of the general souls that are on a higher level. But it says even regarding the lower level of soul called nephesh, which corresponds to the liver, even that it seems like okay, what the liver? I mean, it's just like basic life. Like how many different levels could you have? But no, even that has many different levels. Basically, the root of all of the parts of the soul are okay, what is this even? Yeah. The root of all of these different levels of the soul, both the part of the soul and the brain, heart, and liver, the root of all those souls all come from the highest brain, which is the creator's brain, so to speak, the supernal wisdom. So the point is that not only do the higher parts of the soul of each person sometimes come from the brain, sometimes are like relative, or like a foot relative to the brain, but even all the other levels of the soul have different saying even though there's also different levels of this of other parts of the soul and different parts of levels of souls in general, but all of the different levels, no matter how many different kinds we have, they all come from the Creator's wisdom. Like a son who is drawn from his father's brain, even the nails of his feet are formed from that very drop. The point is that all the parts of a child come from the same father, even even different body parts of the same child. So too, even though the different souls are like different body parts, like some souls are like heads, some souls are like feet, but they all come from the same father, etc. Yeah, basically, because the child essentially eventually became even like the fingernails, which is like the lowest level, and nevertheless, even after the fingernails are created, for example, it still remain connected in a wondrous and powerful unity with its original essence and being, which is the father essentially. This is talking about in person, even after they're born. It's like so even now in the son, the nourishment and life of the fingernails are sustained by the brain in his head. So the point is that the entire essence of a son and of a child is the father, because the child comes from the father's brain, and not only does the brain of the child come from the father's brain, but also all the other parts of the body come are sustained from the brain of the child. So they're all united with the brain of the child, which is united with the brain of the father, etc. So too, all the different souls of Israel are united with the brain of the Creator. Like it says, yeah, the white part of a person's body comes from the father, while the red part comes from the mother, basically. So the point is just different examples of that. Like it says, for example, there's some, it says the clothes that Adam, the first man, was wearing in the Garden of Eden were like some kind of like fingernails, which represented spiritual stuff. So that's it explains that more in the reference. And yeah, basically whatever that means. So too, in a matter of speaking, the root of all the different types of the souls for all of Israel in general are all rooted in the same Father. When they descend into this world step by step through a chain-like descent of the different spiritual worlds from its spiritual source before someone is born all the way to this world, like it says, they all come. Wait, what is the end of that thing? It's saying, yeah, they all come from originally from the Creator's wisdom, which is like beyond the universe entirely. But then they come down through a different chain like descent. Like it says, you've made them all with wisdom, meaning all the different levels that exist throughout the whole set of universes, like originate from the Creator's wisdom. And through this descent to the different parts of the soul of the common, you could even have the different parts of the soul of the common folk, not only the parts of the soul of like the great leaders, but even the parts of the soul for other people. They all come from the Creator's wisdom, and even though they come into this physical world in a lower level of soul, but their souls still remain connected and unified in a wondrous and powerful unity with their original essence, an extension of the supernal wisdom, meaning even how the souls exist in the lower level in this world, they're still an extension of the wisdom of the Creator, even in this physical world. For the sustenance and vitality of the different parts of the soul, of even the common folk, come from the other parts of the soul of the righteous leaders of the generation. Meaning, how could it be that someone has a lower soul, but they're still connected with the Creator's mind? Because really, we said earlier that in every generation, there's also leaders of the generation, certain Jews that lead thousands of people at a time. And those Jews have a certain kinds of soul, which are like a brain soul. And that brain soul is directly connected, so to speak, in a more open connection. So it says the way that the other people in the generation can are connected to the Creator is because they're connected to those other Jews that are specific, like the specific Jews that are like leaders of thousands of people. And the only way that the other people in the world are connected to the Creator is because they're really connected to those Jews that are connected to the Creator in a greater way. And because they're connected to those specific Jews, those sages of each generation, then through that connection to those sages are the rest of the nation connected to the Creator. And it says, what it says in this verse, it's in the Torah, it says, the commandment, you shall cleave to the Creator. But how can someone cleave to the Creator? It says in the sages by the Talmud, it says that, how does someone connect themselves to the Creator? It says, anyone who cleaves to the disciples of the wise, then it's considered as if he cleaved to the Creator himself. So through connecting to the sages of the generation, through the Torah scholars and the specific Jews that are like the brain of the generation, that's the way to connect to the Creator. And it says through attaching oneself to the disciples of the wise. Talmidei Chachamim is the Hebrew word. It means like the Torah scholars of the generation. Then all the parts of that person's soul become united and bound up with their original essence. And the original essence of the soul of the common folk is in the wisdom of the Creator. So through connecting to wise Jews in the generation, then that connects their soul to the wisdom of the Creator, which is the original source. And not only the wisdom of the Creator, but the wisdom of the Creator is one with His essence, as we said earlier. But what about people who rebel against the Jews in that generation? They said they still exist, but the reason why they exist is only because they exist from, so to speak, the backside of the Torah scholars in that generation. Like the meaning, the Torah scholars are still sustaining them, even if they rebel against them. But the only way they exist is because they only get like a lesser form of life from them. So the point is, we gotta connect ourselves to scholarly people, and that connects us to the creed. Like it says in the Zohar, that okay, now let's talk about another thing. Oh, but what about we? Okay, now we're saying different levels of souls, based on like different stuff. But now we're saying, okay, well, maybe when a person is conceived, in the Zohar it says that that's the time, depending on like the different spiritual intentions the parents have during that time, then that determines what level of the soul they have, maybe. But no, it's saying that's only talking about the fact that of the moment of intimacy, what happens then during the spiritual intentions the parents have, that only determines the level of the body that the son will or the child is going to have. But it's basically saying that the soul is going to be born into the body anyway, but just the parents have the ability to decide to make like a holy body or not. But it's saying the souls all come anyway. So basically, what was it trying to explain? Is a good question. But yeah, maybe it explains in the Awtsmoos commentary that right. Yeah, but I mean, basically, no. So saying here that we have to connect ourselves to like I actually should flow this. What is this talking about? Okay, this commentary is kind of hard to understand. Um, okay, well, we said earlier that like really all the souls are just connected to the original essence through being connected to the Torah scholars. Now it's like, oh, what do you mean? But in the Zohar it says that the connection of the souls is maybe dependent on when they're first conceived. But then it says that's only talking about the body, but not the soul. It's kind of hard to understand exactly what the flow of this is talking about. But the point is something. The point is that all souls of the Jews are united with the essence of the Creator, and within that, there's different levels of souls as well. Some people, souls, even of Jews, are like feet compared to the head, and both are important because feet actually get things done, while the head is like includes the rest of the levels. It says the only way that anyone is able to exist is really because of the certain Jews in every generation that are like the leaders of thousands, that are like the Torah scholars of that generation, and only because of those Jews do the other people get their life force from those people. And basically, so by clinging to Torah scholars, then we can cling to the Creator. And yeah, basically, that's the basic idea. So I'm not sure what these pictures represent, but maybe it's something. Anyway, so hopefully next time with the Creator's help, we'll do this chapter 3. But for now, let's just leave it at that. And let's just, is there any images for this? Let's get a preview. Wow, fancy. Not sure what this has to do with anything, but we'll see. All right, have a good morning, afternoon, and night.